This is Prabhu Ayyagari. I'm a program director with the IBM ecosystem. And on behalf of my colleague Brent Wolf and I'd like to welcome you to today's New Way to Learn. It's an exciting lineup that we have, and we're going to hear immediately from a digital thought leader and industry analyst, someone that I follow on Twitter, someone who has some really good ideas to share. From the big picture perspective, we'll start off with Dion. Dion Hinchcliffe is an analyst, and Dion will hand it over to Joe Markowitz. Joe brings the industry sales perspective from the brand, and we'll hear from Joe, and afterwards we'll hear from an offering management perspective from Heath McCarthy, and Ellen Feeney will follow Heath and talk about the solutions that are available with AppSpokes integration. Ellen's fired up. She has some really good solutions from AppFusions. She's the CEO of AppFusions, and we will hear from her why you need to have AppSpokes in your toolbox. So good luck, folks. Learn something new, and anytime you have questions about anything to do with partners, please reach out to me, Prabhu Ayyagari, or to my colleague Brent Wolf. With that, over to you, Dion.
Thanks, Prabhu. I appreciate that. And so we're going to spend a few minutes now talking about digital workplace trends for 2017, what we're seeing in the marketplace, which germane to this conversation around collaboration and application integration. My name is Dion Hinchcliffe. You can find me on ZDNet in my books and on Twitter, talking about all of these topics and the data that's in the slide deck that you see here. Next slide, please. So when we look at digital workplace technology for 2017, this is Step 2's latest digital workplace radar. I've added three important trends that we're seeing on top of this. One is that collaboration environments are becoming the digital workplace hub. That's because it's now easier than ever before to integrate work applications, productivity applications into the way that we collaborate. And these are allowing users to focus on business use cases. You know, the high value activities you're doing aren't off to the side outside the collaboration tools. It's happening right inside now, increasingly, as the technology makes that possible. And we've seen a whole wave of tools released in the last 6 months that will make this possible in the enterprise. Next slide, please. Internet of Things is another technology that's getting wired in. We're going to see an explosion of devices appearing inside our applications as everything we have in the workplace becomes connected and wired. And the natural place for that is where people are spending all of their time. And the fact is that they've got to collaborate with these devices as well as the people that they work with. We've seen examples of this, in fact, from I was at IBM's new IoT launch in Munich, and we saw these scenarios being enabled. It was very compelling. Next slide, please. And artificial intelligence, something IBM knows a whole lot about. With Watson, we're seeing that being integrated as well into the collaboration fabric that's appearing in the workplace. A lot of tools are adding this. IBM, of course, is focusing on this quite a bit. But it requires, again, that we add additional applications and capabilities inside the collaborative environment in a usable way. This is going to be if collaboration tools will be the workplace hub, as they increasingly look like they will be, we have to figure out how to situate them well. Next slide, please. Again, these are my famous complicated slides. You have something to study afterwards. Social business is still the most strategic way of collaborating. Team chat is popular, and certainly, with Watson Workspace, IBM is focusing on that as well. But in terms of enterprise class, large-scale mass collaboration, social business is still the top way of working. It's growing rapidly as an industry, expected, according to Technavio, which is the latest growth estimate. I think this is a few months old now. Expected to be a $23 billion industry by 2019, growing 26% annually. So this is a growth market. And one of the reasons is, again, because it looks like these environments will be moving to the center of the workplace. Next slide, please. The issue is, and this is a sales challenge, is that everything is getting collaborative. This is a map I created looking at every corporate function and every type of collaboration, and there are multiple products standing on each one of these intersections. There are internet tools for HR teams. There is collaboration tools designed just for your legal department. So we're seeing that there's a hunger, there's demand in the marketplace for applications for collaboration tools to get into specific business problems. And so this kind of gives us a hint about where the collaboration space is moving. Next slide, please. And so we see this actively. I work with digital workplace teams around the world, in Asia, Europe, North America. And we see these use cases now. The focus is enabling sales or enabling marketing teams to collaborate better, how to make customer service organizations collaborate better on customer problems. We're seeing high-value use cases, and most of those functions have applications that support them. So the challenge continues to be we collaborate in one place and we do the work in the other when we really need it to be in the same place. But we're now seeing organizations designing collaboration into either these applications or building it on top of things like IBM Connections and other solutions. Next slide. So the shift we're really seeing is that companies, the large vendors like IBM, are going up the stack and saying, let's encompass these capabilities, everything from AI and analytics and voice and video, all the activities, including email, IoT, and all of these apps. Let's put them in a natural place and put them where we're doing the work, which is where we collaborate. This is what things like AppFusions enables. It's what Slack has proven. There is a large demand of the growth curve of Slack. I'm sure most of you on this call are aware of. Has almost 1,000 app integrations now. It's driven the growth of the platform. It shows that people want one place to collaborate, have and work on their data, collaborate with their devices, work with bots and all the things that are coming down the pike. And Slack is for expert users, of course. Now we're seeing this moving down into the average user space. So I'm surveying a lot of digital workplace teams right now. We're seeing a lot of hunger for enabling these types of things. And the solutions are just now coming to market. And of course, with IBM Connections and AppFusions, you guys can bring that to market today. Next slide. So the future looks like one major part of the future of work is going to be this new digital workplace hub. With IBM Connections, you can create this hub. It brings everything together, documents and files, intranets, voice, video, your social network, your productivity apps, your systems of record, ERP systems, all into one natural place where the data can be collaborated on, the documents can be worked with, the devices can be activated and used. And so we see that this is a major trend in the way that that enterprises, especially large enterprises, are now looking to consume collaboration tools. Next slide, please. So in terms of what I see organizations doing, they're looking at now a more complex multi-layered strategy. One major hub that will be at the mass collaboration, the enterprise social network level, and they're also looking at team tools, a hub that will work at the team level, team scale collaboration, and those will be the two major areas that the majority of digital workplace strategies will focus on in 2017. And that's from my sampling of digital workplace organizations, teams. And next slide. I think that might be my last slide. Yep, and I'll hand this over to Joe. Hope that was a useful framing up, and I'm happy to talk about this more offline and on Twitter. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Dion. That was really good. Great information. Really appreciate it. My name is Joe Marquith, and I'm with IBM Enterprise Collaboration Consultant. And my part of the deck is this presentation is I want to talk a little bit and speak a little bit to why collaboration, why workplace collaboration. And I just want to start off with some basic things about the people and who we are as people, and that we have this basic need for connectedness and shared experience. For instance, when I look back at my own past and history, I wonder why I wore polyester shirts and platform shoes in the 70s. Could it have anything to do with what was going on in culture at the time, the Bee Gees and Saturday Night Fever and the movies and what everyone else was doing? Why did me and my friends pick up guitars and learn how to play Pink Floyd songs and Grateful Dead songs? Was it to relive a shared experience at a concert and to bring people together? So as I look at this, I also look at my own behavior with LinkedIn and Twitter. Why do I check it multiple times a day? Am I missing out on something? And why do I get a buzz when people like to share or like my posts? So all these things go into why do we consume, why do we participate in society, and what are the drivers for this? Prior to IBM, I owned a digital marketing and PR consulting agency and had the privilege of working with some of the greatest thought leaders in change management, and I learned an awful lot from them. But a lot of it didn't hit home what I learned from them and that experience didn't hit home until I had kids, and I was able to see myself through their eyes. When my boys were about 8 and 9 years old, we signed them onto a social network for children, and it was for a limited time where they can connect with just a few friends and their cousins, and they each were given an avatar of a penguin, and they were given a basic igloo home, and they were able to interact in this virtual world playing games. And the more they played games, they would get this virtual currency that they could then trade in for virtual products, you know, trick out their igloo or buy clothing and accessories for their penguin and personalize it. So they had this deep, rich experience in a virtual world where they were collaborating with friends, yet it was also personalized to their specific interests and needs. And they quickly built up a fair amount of assets, but then the day came when my wife and I cut them off from this little experiment we were doing, and the drama ensued. Tears began to flow, and they had lost, it was like they lost a part of themselves, that the need for connection was deeply rooted in all of us, and I was able to see that through their eyes, that even though it was all virtual money and a virtual world, they still felt connected to it, even though they saw these same children at school and they saw their cousins on a regular basis. So they invested a lot of themselves into collaboration and the shared experience. So what I learned, that it wasn't the penguin and the games as much as they missed, it was the medium. And if you can switch the slide. And this is when that lesson of Marshall McLuhan's famous quote, "The medium is the message," really hit to me. And a collaboration environment is a medium that we come together. And a medium that we know in everyday life would be the theater, the radio, the computer, the internet, the phone, the smartphone is a medium that we all have in common. And it changes us as a culture, and it transforms who we are and how we behave and how we consume information in our life. Go to the next slide. There we go. If you look around, just everyday society, this is a really common scene that we see of people all physically gathered in the same place, but they're all staring down at their phone. I was at a party, and my eldest son, who's now 14, was across the room from some girls, and they're all looking down at their screen. I asked him later, why didn't you go talk to them? Because we were all chatting. We were all on Instagram. I found that just very fascinating, that this is part of our culture, our everyday culture. And this is a shared experience that we all have. We all know what the cell phone experience is like. And if you don't have it in your hands right now as you're listening to this audio, your phone's probably very close to you. And we've grown a dependency in our private lives on social media. Let's go to the next slide, please. So while we know this in our regular lives with Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, social media, the corporate enterprise historically has been lagging a little bit behind. However, we at IBM are seeing a rapid awareness and adoption. And it's based on a few key trends. And some of it is the need to break down traditional siloed processes and the need to accelerate decision-making processes, increase the success rate of internal and external executions, and the curation and transfer of knowledge. This is an important one where, as we have an aging workforce moving out and we have a younger generation moving in, how do we capture that aging workforce, all that wealth of knowledge, and disseminate it now down to the younger generation that's coming up, and how do we do that efficiently? And collaboration tools are the perfect vehicle to do this. The other important aspect is to liberate otherwise disparate data and applications that have been in the shadows for a really long time. And some of these have been failed executions for no other reason that no one knew about them. They weren't able to be adopted. And then finally, to engage the workforce. Let's go to the next slide, please. Our clients are seeing a lot of marketplace disruption, and a lot of disruption that can even collapse what we thought were impenetrable domains. The need for the workforce and the culture to be optimized is at the forefront of every business model, or it should be, because the pace of business is moving incredibly fast, and the startups know that, and they're able to be more nimble and respond to the changes in the environment. So the traditional organizations, especially the larger the organization, the more nimble they need to be. Our clients know that the demands of tomorrow will be very different than what they are today, and while perhaps unclear how, their requirements to continually identify, deploy, and enable the workforce quickly really isn't up for debate. We need better ways and better tools to enable this. The need to also tap the collective intelligence of our workforce for innovation is also really the competitive edge that every company has. The human capital sitting right there in your office. We just need the tools to tap into it. AppFusions with IBM Connections is that medium, and it's the message that bonds together otherwise disparate strategies and tactics for the enterprise environment. It's a common unifying platform that integrates, personalizes, and engages the workforce culture with hard ROIs. And let's take a look at some of those ROIs. So this isn't just about an HR program, a fluffy HR program. This is a solution that has bottom line meaning to your business. So if we can advance the slide, please. So IBM commissioned Forrester Consulting to do a study, and here are some of the findings that they found in the adjusted risk results concluded from a representative organization experience. 250% ROI, a 3-year benefit of almost $22 million, and a payback of 8 months. Let's go to the next slide. Additionally, IBM Connections enabled the representative organization of 15,000 employees to experience the following benefits over 3 years. Increased employee productivity of 20%. Think about this for a second. And improved HR efficiency by 25%. These numbers are very impressive and should be considered profound. Next slide. And on the IT side, there was average hardware savings of $500,000, IT operating cost reduction by 20%, and total IT savings of $700,000. So these are just with IBM Connections, these ROIs, and what the Forrester study showed. These numbers, I believe, can be driven to new heights when you add AppSpokes to the Connections platform. Visualize a collaborative space where you can monitor and collaborate instantly on your key KPIs via email and communicate and collaborate with these via email, community, cloud meeting, a chat session, a workspace, a forum, a blog, or collaboratively edit a document together. Imagine integrating mission-critical applications and data into your daily workflow and view them in a single pane of glass. Quickly identify within your organization expertise and resources and leverage the best-of-breed solutions today and tomorrow as you move forward. The benefits to a collaborative platform of AppSpokes and IBM Connections is really only limited by your imagination data that you can bring to the surface. The result is a collaborative medium that drives transformation and reinforces corporate culture and solves your business needs today and in the future better and faster. So I do have a slide with some representative clients to get some idea that we have clients that are using this today, and there are just a few. AT&T would be one, Lowe's is another, and of course IBM uses it internally ourselves. I'll pass it over to Heath.
Okay, so hi, this is Heath McCarthy. I'm the Senior Offering Manager for IBM Collaboration Services for the ecosystem. And so the discussion has really laid out so far a really strong case for the idea of a collaboration hub, bringing things together into the space where people are working and clearly driving business value, and IBM Connections being one of our key platforms for doing that. So as we are building and evolving, transforming IBM Connections, there are 4 priorities I'm focused on right now. One is to really help organizational administrators, those people who are Connections customers, who are trying Connections for the first time potentially. How do they really manage the applications that they're bringing together, as we've been talking in this session so far? And one of the first places that starts is the Connections catalog, the place where I can manage, define, and actually even implement my own applications. The second thing we're focused on is how to really help app developers in a really seamless self-service way build, integrate, and deploy applications inside their organization. And in that role of an application developer is someone inside of the enterprise, someone working with the enterprise, or really strong partners like AppFusions. The third thing we're focused on is really how to improve that customer's buying journey. So if I'm creating an app and I want to make sure that that thing is available to the customer in a way that they can try it and convert it quickly and easily over into something they can deploy to their users and allow their users to potentially share that, and starting to get into the fourth outcome, which is really how do we drive viral adoption of applications and how people can assemble the right experience for them, tailored in a way that my access into the workplace hub, whether at the organizational level or at the team level, it really fits my need or our needs collectively. So to get really specific, we're working on a common catalog model that certainly is to drive any type of connections implementation. And as we start to implement what we've been calling Connections Pink, we start to see that a common catalog for me to manage my apps is going to be really important. A second very specific thing we're working on are new APIs and extensions. And so today in Connections, I'm able to infuse or inject capability. And Ellen's going to go into details of the things that you can integrate into Connections. But over time, we're going to expand those extension points at the user experience level, as well as the sort of eventing and data level, and really layer a whole new model for middleware on top of that to make it so that I can integrate into Connections, and when I'm in Connections, I'm getting extra value from the services and APIs that are available in the application that I'm consuming as a customer or I'm building as a developer. Some new services that we've already announced at IBM Connect, specifically LiveGrid and the Orient Me technologies, including the important Me bar. These are just the first round of new application functionality that users can consume and therefore also be extensible by third parties and app developers. And so you might even imagine the integrations that you get today with AppFusions, how that might evolve and expand. And LiveGrid and Orient Me, I think, are two, again, immediate places we'll start seeing some changes. We're looking at how do we really provide runtime choice. So the experience you have today as an app developer inside of Connections is based on those extensions in the user experience. Where do you run your application? Whether you're on-premise or in the cloud, you have a number of choices. You can still build Domino applications. You can still build Java applications, and obviously Node.js and a number of other things are really important. And so it's important to us to make sure that you have that flexibility as application developer to be able to run and integrate that technology that you're bringing to the market into Connections in the right way. And lastly, we're actively working on how best to inject user experience into the Connections cloud. We have a proxy technology that we also announced at Connect that allows you to really think about how do I add new service and experience at the people level, at the content level, and at the application services level. So AppFusions has been working with us across the board on all of these items. And that gets to how do any apps, any integrations that might be relevant to the customer's organization, how do they get into the IBM Connections catalog? We are announcing a verified app program. A lot more detail to come on this. We haven't worked out all the details, terms and services and all those kinds of things. But the first thing we're doing is we've designed a new Connections catalog, and we're starting to implement that over the next couple of months. We're launching with a whole suite of AppFusions capabilities in the Connections cloud so that any organizational admin can try those out and buy them and make them available to their end users. We're going to be streamlining the app developer process and then implementing that IBM validation process based on some really clear criteria, and then over the long run, obviously, helping people manage updates and get the most value out of the Connections developer and integration experience. So that's our plan. Those are things we're working on, and you're going to see some immediate things right now with AppFusions. Ellen, take it over.
Hi. First of all, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. Hard act to follow after Diane and Joe and Heath. They gave very thorough understandings and sort of amounting, and that was the hope, to amounting to the actual solutions of real applications that are integrated into IBM Connections. AppFusions and my team, we've been working on these integrations for actually since 2010. We started our journey in integrated systems into collaboration, but specifically, and also with IBM in 2011 with their on-prem version, but especially with the IBM Connections Cloud since January of 2015, and it's a journey, I will say. The great news is that when we started in 2015, we were able to target an optimal architecture and design that was built with a single code base to allow us to support cloud as well as on-prem integrations. So everything you're seeing here and everything I'm going to show and introduce is available on cloud. As Heath was mentioning, we're going to launch in the catalog with up to 20 solutions out the gate, and we have another 40 or 50 on our list. And we also will, they will be available also for version 5.5 CR1+. So 6, and also IBM Connections Pink, if you guys have heard about that. Next slide, please. To just very quickly reiterate, this is another slide from Dion. It's a different one than you saw before, but it illustrates pretty much the same points he was making about a contextual, streamlined application in your collaboration system, allowing for contextual insights, allowing for contextual actions. When you receive activity streams, you can act on them, you can link back, you can actually launch and comment to them, change them, like them, as well as transition, if it's a workflow type of app, transition the issue or activity right there in line. And with Box or Dropbox or Google or Office 365 or SharePoint Online, you name it, you can work with those apps right there. Also comment to them in line in the either activity streams or the community apps that we are building. Next slide, please. And so I touched on these already. In short, we have community apps and we have activity streams and embedded experiences. Embedded experiences are mini apps inside of an activity stream. So you not only get the activity that's going into the stream on a regular, with all the apps, you also are able to act on those apps in context as they come in real time. In the community apps, you can go into much deeper dives. You can search with real-time searches and filtering, launch one of the issues or files that you're looking at, and you can actually work with it right there, then and there. You can move and drag and drop and file name and share and comment to your files and of any flavor. Next. And so to get back to the vision, it's really any app, and with IBM Connections being the hub, and for many different types of departments or projects. One of the features that comes with IBM Connections, and I feel it's one of the most understated features of the entire platform, is the fact that you can have unlimited communities. When you put together integrations with unlimited communities, and let's just say for sake, you have 100 communities, all 100 communities can be integrated uniquely with different contextual. However, the integration, the actual implementation of deploying the integration is done at the organizational level. So you install it once, and each of the different communities can change the context that's specific to the purpose of their community. These purposeful places, if you will, to allow you to collaborate in context with your team is a very powerful notion. And in fact, it's such a powerful notion that there's nowhere else in the industry that has it. Next. So let's just talk about some real implementation. Zendesk. When we think about integration application development, we think about it in terms of the type of application. There's going to be a file manager, or there's an issue tracker or database-backed type of solution. Zendesk would be a database-type solution because it's tickets, lots of fields, lots of components to a ticket. And it's very interactive, and it also is siloed with the support people, and the information and knowledge that's being transferred in that support ticket is very valuable to some others in the organization, namely engineering or product management. but they get stuck in that system. By putting them into IBM Connections, they have visibility. You surface the real-time data, and more than just support can engage and interact with it. You can search lists, review, filter, sort the tickets, and make real-time comments, and this is just the start. Next. With Box, for any file manager, we have a very deep integration, and our integrations all grow together. So when one integration grows in its features and functionalities, they all grow. And this ability to sustain and support a roadmap with a different integration flavor or type is a very powerful notion. Otherwise, that would be a customer, that'd be a professional services job every time you needed to upgrade or change or modify or improve your integration. In this case, they're packaged and allows you to get the richest set of functionality, so they become the best of breed over time, and the customers actually drive the feature capabilities and functionalities that are added to our solutions. I've listed the Box integration features of streams, lists, search, favorites, and like I said, there will be more. But the point, and I don't need to read that, my point is use Box in context where you need it and as you expect to, and you don't think about it. Joe made a very strong mention about the mobile phone and how we use it, and it's our medium. I don't think about using my phone. I don't think about using my apps in the phone, and I don't think I should be thinking about using my apps inside of my collaboration system. They should just work. Next, please. OneDrive, Office 365, SharePoint Online, and SharePoint Server. This one I love because this is a very big thing in our organization right now. I kind of call it IBM Connections and Microsoft are the new best friends forever. There's no reason you should have to think about it. It's not either or. They are both needed, and we need to use them all. I use Office 365 every day, and I also use IBM Connections, and I don't really ever think about, oh, should I use this one for that and that for this? I need them both, and that's the point. IBM Connections is your hub for all your tools and all your communications and collaborations, and the tools are the tools. You need your tools to get your job done, and your users do too, and that's the big point. It's not a political fight over which tool. It's, yes, we need our tools, and we need them integrated. Next. Atlassian Jira is, I call it a very prolific app out in the field. They have tens of thousands of customers, and Jira is one of the most pervasive. Dozens upon dozens of servers exist in large corporations, and smaller corporations even have 1 or 2 or 3 Jira servers. They will have Jira servers for their engineering, they'll have it for their marketing, they'll have it for different engineering projects, and every one of those Jira systems become a silo, and that is unfortunate. In some cases you want a silo, a lot of cases you want some cross-project shares. And with IBM Connections, you can get that. You can bring multiple Jiras into IBM Connections, into disparate, different communities, but you can also have multiple Jiras in the same community. We allow you to search, list, filter, sort, create real-time streams, transition within the stream, comment, use Jira as a real first-class citizen inside of IBM Connections. This power is very powerful. AppFusions happens to have been a very early plug-in developer with Atlassian systems, Jira, Confluence, Bamboo, Fisheye, Crucible, and so there's really nothing that can break our back in the Atlassian tool set to integrate it. And in fact, my co-founder has written 7 books on Jira, including the very first one. Jira is your friend. Jira needs to be integrated in IBM Connections, in my opinion. Next, please. ServiceNow, very similar to the case of Zendesk, different. ServiceNow is often used in IT worlds where the IT ticketing. Zendesk sometimes is used in IT, but often more for customer support. Are their needs different? No, they're not. They're very similar. And in fact, the integration and the use cases for the integration is very similar. And in fact, large organizations often will have ServiceNow and Zendesk and also Jira Service Desk and any number of other service type applications. The needs are not different. You might have many of them in your organization, and they can all be brought together in IBM Connections. Next, please. And now there's Domino apps. A lot of the functions and capabilities I talked about are built out in Domino apps, and a lot of corporations have evolved these to web apps as well. Many of the items, functional app capabilities that I list in those bottom bullets there are very similar to the apps that I was already showing, and Domino apps also can be inside IBM Connections, and many more. I don't want to limit it. I mentioned that we have about 20 that are going to be going into the catalog, and we have a long list to do. What stirs the priorities? You. Customers stir the priorities. AppSpokes technology is the technology that brings this all together for IBM Connections, and we continue to grow it. We are running in Bluemix, but we will also be following very closely. We're following very closely the pink path, and we will be Docker containers for IBM Connections on-prem. And this guy's my favorite guy. Just don't say no. If you can think it, the answer is yes. And that brings us to a conclusion, and I'll pass the baton back over to Prabhu. If you have any questions, please do send us an email or tweet to AppFusions, or do check out our YouTube channels. We have the next three Thursdays of April and May, we will be doing deep dive integration demos, and we will be videoing all those, and they will all land on YouTube. YouTube is our friend, and we feed it often. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Ellen, Dion, Joe, Heath. What we have heard today, folks, is that there's a powerful integration between Connections and a variety of third-party solutions that you'll see in your customer's enterprise. And so now it's up to you to get excited, learn more with these links, and any questions that you might have on how we can help your customer work with their existing solutions and bring their new way to work, please reach out to Brent Wolf or to me, Prabhu Ayagari. And thanks again to Deborah Cole, John Allen, and all the new way to learn folks.